Nobody, and I mean nobody, was ready for what just detonated behind the scenes of Love Hip Hop Atlanta. Because what started as a quiet night turned into a nuclear-level exposure that has now sent shockwaves through the entire reality TV universe. Sources are calling it the most disrespectful betrayal ever caught on camera. And it all began with one name. Botchey. Yes. That name. Because in a moment that insiders are describing as unhinged, raw, and completely unrehearsed, Bambi didn't just confront Scrappy, she obliterated him. We're talking receipts, timestamps, voice notes, messages so reckless, so careless, that even producers were allegedly scrambling behind the scenes trying to figure out whether to cut the footage or air it and risk breaking the internet. But here's where it gets even crazier. Britney was there. Listening. Watching. Silent at first, but what she heard, it changed everything. Because according to multiple leaked accounts, Bambi didn't just read the texts, she performed them. Line by line. Word by word. Every flirty emoji. Every late night confession. Every "I miss you" that was never meant to be seen. And Scrappy. Frozen. Completely caught. With nowhere to run. What happened next wasn't just an argument. It was a full-blown emotional explosion that has now sparked a social media war, divided fans into vicious camps, and triggered reactions from cast members who are now choosing sides in what's being called the messiest triangle in LHHATL history. But the biggest question still remains. What exactly did those texts say? And why did Britney's reaction leave the entire room in stunned silence? Because trust me, what you're about to hear next only gets worse. The room didn't just go quiet, it collapsed into silence. The kind of suffocating, heavy silence that makes your chest tighten, because you know something irreversible is about to happen. Bambi stood there, phone in hand, eyes locked on Scrappy like she had already buried him in her mind. And then, she smirked. Not a normal smirk. Not playful. Not petty. This was the smirk of someone who had everything. "Since you wanna play me like I'm stupid," she said slowly, her voice trembling, not with weakness, but with rage barely being held together, "let's read what you've been doing." Scrappy shifted in his seat instantly. That was the first crack. Because the moment she unlocked her phone, his entire energy changed. Gone was the loud, defensive attitude. Gone was the usual excuses. What replaced it? Panic. Real panic. "Bam, don't do that," he muttered, trying to keep his voice low, like maybe, just maybe, this could still be contained. But it was already too late. Because Britney leaned forward. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her eyes were glued to Bambi's phone like she already sensed what was coming, and somehow, she knew it involved her too. And then Bambi started reading. "I can't stop thinking about last night, you different." The air shifted instantly. Scrappy's head dropped. Britney blinked. And Bambi. She took a step closer. "You know, Bam, don't understand me like you do." That's when Britney's face changed. Not dramatically. Not loud. Just enough. Enough to tell everyone in the room that this wasn't just gossip anymore. This was personal. "Say it louder," Bambi snapped suddenly, shoving the phone toward Scrappy. "Say it with your chest since you typed it so bold." "I ain't," Scrappy started, but his voice cracked mid-sentence. Mid-sentence. And that's when Bambi lost it. "Oh, now you ain't," she shouted, her voice echoing so sharp it felt like glass breaking. "But you was real loud at 2:17 a.m., huh? Real clear when you said," she scrolled. Paused. Looked up. And then delivered the line that made Britney physically step back. "I wish I was in your bed instead." Silence. Dead silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Even the producers, according to insiders, stopped giving directions. Because this wasn't reality TV anymore. This was real. Britney's lips parted slightly, like she was about to say something, but nothing came out. And that hesitation, that tiny, frozen moment, it said everything. Because now the question wasn't just about Scrappy cheating. It was about whether Britney already knew. Go ahead, Bambi said, her voice dropping dangerously low. Tell her she lying. Tell her I made it up. Scrappy didn't look up. Didn't defend himself. Didn't even try. And that was the confirmation no one wanted but everyone understood. Oh my God, Britney whispered under her breath, but it wasn't soft enough. Bambi heard it. And that's when she turned. Fast. Too fast. You shocked? Bambi fired, eyes blazing. Or you just shocked I found out? That question hit like a grenade. Because suddenly, Britney wasn't just a witness anymore. She was in it. I swear I didn't know it was like that, Britney said quickly, hands slightly raised, her voice shaky but trying to stay controlled. But Bambi wasn't buying it. Not even a little. Oh, you didn't know, she laughed, but it wasn't humor. It was venom. So all them late night calls. Them little friendly check-ins. That was what? Community service. Scrappy finally stood up. Big mistake. Bam, chill. Don't tell me to chill, she exploded, her voice rising so loud it cut straight through him. You been chilling with her. And just like that, the room fractured. Scrappy ran his hands over his face, pacing now, his movements erratic, like he was trying to physically outrun what was happening. You making this bigger than it is, he said, but even he didn't sound convinced. And Bambi caught that. Oh, I'm making it bigger. She stepped closer again, almost nose to nose with him. Let's go bigger then. She tapped her phone again. Scrolled. And then hit play. A voice note. Scrappy's voice. Clear as day. Man. I ain't even gonna lie, if things was different, I'd already be with you. The playback ended. But the damage. Instant. Permanent. Britney covered her mouth. Not dramatically, instinctively. Like her body reacted before her mind could catch up. Because now there was no denying it. This wasn't flirting. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was intention. And Scrappy knew it. Say something. Bambi demanded, her voice cracking now, the anger slowly mixing with something deeper, something more dangerous. Hurt. Real hurt. But Scrappy stayed quiet. And that silence was louder than anything he could have said. You really played me, Bambi whispered, shaking her head, almost like she was talking to herself now. In my face, in front of everybody, you really thought I was dumb. Britney finally stepped forward. Carefully. I didn't know it went that far, she said again, softer this time, but now there was tension in her tone. You gotta believe that. Bambi turned slowly. Too slowly. You keep saying that, she said, eyes narrowing. But you ain't denying you was entertaining it. Britney froze. And that hesitation. That split-second pause. It told Bambi everything she needed to know. Oh wow, Bambi exhaled, backing up slightly, like the realization physically hit her. So you was playing along. It wasn't like that, but it was something, Bambi cut her off sharply. And Britney couldn't answer. She just stood there. Caught. And now the energy shifted again. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about Scrappy betraying Bambi. It was about Britney's role in it. And Scrappy saw it happening. Saw the heat shifting. Saw the attention moving off him. And for a split second, he almost looked relieved. Another mistake. Because Bambi caught that too. "Oh no," she said slowly, her eyes snapping back to him. "Don't you dare think you're getting out of this." She stepped closer again. Closer than before. "You started this," she said, voice low and deadly. "And you gonna finish it." Scrappy finally looked up. And for the first time all night, he looked angry. Not guilty. Not scared. Angry. "You're doing too much now," he snapped, his tone hardening. "You're trying to embarrass me." That was it. That was the line. Because Bambi's entire expression changed instantly. "Embarrass you," she repeated, almost laughing, but there was no humor left. "Oh, you think this is embarrassing?" She lifted her phone again. Higher this time. And what she said next made Britney's stomach drop. Made Scrappy step forward. Made everyone in that room realize this situation was about to explode. To be completely uncontrollable. "I ain't even showed the messages from this morning yet." And that's when everything completely spiraled out of control. Scrappy lunged forward. Not aggressively, not yet, but fast enough to send a ripple of tension through the entire room. "Bam, don't," he said, his voice sharper now, laced with something new. Fear. Real fear. Because whatever was in those this morning messages, he knew it was worse. Way worse. But Bambi didn't flinch. Didn't step back. Didn't even blink. "Oh, now you nervous?" she fired back, tilting her head with that same icy smirk. "You wasn't nervous at 9:03 a.m., though, right?" Britney's eyes snapped toward her instantly. 9:03 a.m. That wasn't old history. That was today. That was fresh. That was ongoing. "You texting her this morning?" Britney blurted out, her voice cracking in disbelief as she turned toward Scrappy. "Are you serious right now?" And just like that, the energy flipped again. Now Britney was heated. Now Britney was looking at him like she had been played too. And Scrappy. He hesitated. 1 second too long. "I was just," he started. "Don't," Bambi cut in sharply. "Don't even fix your mouth to lie again. I got the timestamps, remember?" She lifted her phone, her thumb hovering like she was about to detonate a bomb. And in a way, she was. "Good morning, beautiful. I ain't sleep right thinking about you." Britney's face went blank. Not shocked. Not angry. Blank. Like her brain was trying to process something it didn't want to understand. But Bambi wasn't done. "Oh, we're just getting started," she said, her voice dripping with controlled fury. "Let's keep going. Scroll. Pause. Read. Last night was risky, but I'd do it again." The room erupted. "Wait," Britney shouted, stepping forward now, her composure completely gone. "What does that mean? What happened last night?" Scrappy ran both hands over his head, pacing hard now, his breathing uneven. "It ain't what she making it seem like. Then what is it?" Britney snapped, her voice slicing straight through him. And that's when Bambi delivered the next blow. Casual. Cold. Precise. "Oh, you ain't tell her about last night," she said, raising an eyebrow. "That's crazy." Britney turned slowly. Too slowly. Her eyes locked onto Scrappy's. Tell me what happened last night. And for the first time since this started, Scrappy had no script. No deflection. No charm. Just silence. And silence, in that moment, was guilt. That's what I thought, Bambi muttered, shaking her head in disgust. You bold. Real bold. But then something shifted in Britney. Something snapped. Because suddenly, she wasn't just reacting anymore. She was connecting dots. You said, risky, Britney whispered, almost to herself. You said it was risky. Her eyes widened. And then, oh my God, she stepped back like the realization physically hit her. You came to see me, and then went to her. The accusation exploded out of her like a gunshot. And the room froze again. Because now it wasn't just betrayal. It was overlap. It was deception layered on deception. And Scrappy. He didn't deny it. Didn't confirm it. But his face. That told the whole story. You dirty, Britney breathed, shaking her head slowly, her voice dropping into something colder than anger. You really dirty. Man, you're twisting, no. Bambi snapped. You twisting. You twisting both of us at the same time. And that's when everything went left. Because Britney turned. Not toward Bambi. Toward the door. Like she was about to walk out. Like she was done. But Bambi clocked it instantly. Oh no, don't leave now, she called out sharply. You wanted to hear it, right? Stay. Britney stopped. Right at the door. Her hand hovering near the handle. And for a moment, it looked like she might actually walk away. But then, she turned back. Slow. Controlled. Dangerous. Say everything, Britney said, her voice steady now, but her eyes burning. Don't leave nothing out. Bambi nodded once. Almost respectfully. Because now they were on the same page. And Scrappy realized it. Realized he was outnumbered. Outmatched. And completely exposed. Bet, Bambi said, lifting her phone again. Let's talk about the part you thought I'd never find. Scrappy stepped forward again. Faster this time. Bam, chill, but she raised her voice right over his. Pull up around the back. I don't want nobody seeing your car. Britney's breath hitched. Audibly. Because now there was no gray area left. No misunderstanding. No friendly conversation. This was sneaking. Hiding. Planning. You had her sneaking around. Britney snapped, disbelief mixing with anger. Who even are you right now? Scrappy slammed his hand against the wall. Frustration exploding out of him. You're acting like I committed a crime, he shouted. And that right there, lit the final fuse. A crime? Bambi yelled, her voice shaking with pure rage now. You lying, cheating, sneaking around on both of us and you calling it not a crime. You dragging it. I'm dragging it. She cut him off again, stepping so close their faces were inches apart. You dragged me when you laid up texting another woman behind my back. Britney stepped in too now. On Bambi's side. Visibly. You owe both of us an explanation, she said, her voice cold and direct. And that alliance. That unexpected shift. It hit Scrappy harder than anything else. Because now there was no divide. No distraction. Just two women. And one man caught in the middle of his own lies. I ain't gotta explain nothing like that, he muttered, trying to regain control. Wrong move. Because Bambi smiled again. That same dangerous smile from earlier. "Oh, you don't," she said softly. And then she tilted her phone. Turned the screen toward Britney. "Then maybe SHE can explain this." Britney leaned in. Reluctantly. Her eyes scanning the screen. Reading. Processing. And then, her entire expression changed. Again. But this time, it wasn't shock. It wasn't anger. It was something deeper. Something darker. Something that made her slowly lift her head and look straight at Scrappy like she was seeing him for the first time. "What is it?" Scrappy demanded, his voice suddenly uncertain. Britney didn't answer right away. She just kept staring at him. And when she finally spoke, her voice was low. Too low. "You told her I was just a storyline." The words dropped like a bomb. "And Bambi?" Bambi didn't say a word. Because she didn't have to. The damage was already done. Scrappy blinked. Once. Twice. Caught. Completely caught. "It ain't like that," but Britney stepped back. Shaking her head. "No, no, don't fix it now," she said quietly. "Don't clean it up. Say it how you said it to her." Scrappy opened his mouth. Closed it. Nothing came out. And that silence. That was confirmation. Again. "You used me," Britney said, her voice cracking just slightly now. "You really used me for TV." Bambi folded her arms, watching it all unfold like she had already predicted every second of it. "Oh, it get worse," she said under her breath. Scrappy snapped his head toward her. "What else you got?" And that question was a mistake. Because Bambi's eyes lit up. Not with joy. With vengeance. "Oh, you wanna know what else I got?" she said slowly. She scrolled again. Paused. And then laughed. A short, sharp laugh that sent chills through the room. "Okay, yeah, we done playing nice." Britney's stomach dropped instantly. Scrappy took a step back. And Bambi. Bambi lifted her phone one more time. And revealed something that neither of them were ready for. Something that didn't just threaten their relationships, but threatened to destroy everything they thought they knew about each other. "This right here," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This ends all of it." And the second Britney saw it, she gasped. Scrappy went pale. And the entire situation spiraled into something no one could come back from. Britney didn't just gasp. She staggered. Like whatever she saw on that screen didn't just shock her, it hit her hard. Her hand flew to her chest, eyes locked on Bambi's phone, frozen in a moment that stretched so long it felt like time itself was holding its breath. "No," she whispered. Not loud. Not dramatic. But heavy. The kind of no that comes from somewhere deep, somewhere real. Scrappy saw her reaction and immediately knew. Knew this wasn't just another text. Knew this wasn't something he could talk his way out of. "What is it?" he demanded, stepping closer, his voice tight, desperate now. "What's she showing you?" But Britney didn't answer. She couldn't. Because she was still staring at the screen, reading it again, like her brain was refusing to accept what her eyes were clearly seeing. And Bambi. Bambi finally spoke. Calm. Too calm. "It's a video." 3 words. That's all it took. Scrappy froze. Completely. Every muscle in his body locked up, like he'd just been exposed to something lethal. "A video of what?" he asked, but his voice betrayed him. It cracked under the weight of his own fear. Bambi tilted her head slightly, her eyes never leaving his face. "You tell me," she said softly. And that softness. It was more dangerous than all the yelling combined. Because now the power had shifted completely. Scrappy swallowed hard, his mind racing, trying to calculate, trying to remember, trying to figure out exactly which mistake had finally caught up to him. But Britney finally looked up. Slowly. Her eyes were glossy now, not fully crying, but right on the edge. That dangerous edge where emotions stop being controlled. "You recorded it," she said, her voice shaking. Scrappy blinked. "What, you recorded it?" She snapped louder, stepping toward him now, anger flooding in fast. "I didn't, I swear, stop lying," she exploded, and this time her voice cracked all the way through. "I just saw it." The room erupted again. Bambi stepped back slightly, letting it unfold, her silence now intentional. Strategic. Because she knew. The video spoke louder than anything she could say. "What video?" Scrappy shouted now, panic fully taking over. "What are y'all talking about?" And that's when Bambi pressed play. Not loud. Not for the whole room. Just enough. Just enough for Scrappy and Britney to hear it clearly. Muffled voices. Laughter. A familiar voice. Scrappy's voice. And then, a woman's voice. Soft. Flirty. Not Britney. Not Bambi. Someone else. Completely. The sound cut off. But the damage. Immediate. "What is that?" Britney whispered, her voice hollow now, like something inside her had just snapped clean in half. Scrappy shook his head instantly, backing up like distance could somehow erase what just happened. That ain't what it looked like. Oh my God, Britney covered her mouth, tears finally spilling over as realization crashed down fully. There's another one. And that was it. That was the breaking point. Because now this wasn't a triangle. This wasn't even a messy situation anymore. This was a pattern. A cycle. A complete unraveling of everything. "You out here collecting women like trophies?" Britney shouted, her voice shaking with rage and humiliation. "Are you serious right now?" "I didn't record nothing." Scrappy insisted, his words coming faster now, desperate, messy. "I don't even know how she got that," Bambi laughed. And this time, it wasn't controlled. It was sharp. Loud. Cutting. "Oh, you don't know," she said, stepping forward again, eyes blazing. "You don't know how she got it. You sent it." That landed like a punch. "You sent it." Britney echoed, disbelief turning into pure anger. "You sent her a video of you with another woman." Scrappy hesitated. Again. And that hesitation destroyed him. "I was drunk." "Oh, so now you was drunk." Bambi snapped, clapping her hands once in pure disbelief. "Every time you get caught, it's a new excuse. I ain't mean for it to go like this, but it did." Britney screamed. It went exactly like this. She turned away, pacing now, hands in her hair, completely overwhelmed. "This is insane, this is actually insane," she muttered, shaking her head over and over again. Bambi watched her for a second. And for the first time all night, there was a flicker of something else in her eyes. Not just anger. Not just revenge. Understanding. Because in that moment, they weren't enemies. They were both victims of the same chaos. But it didn't last long. Because Scrappy spoke again. And made it worse. "I mean, it wasn't even that serious," Silence. Instant. Dead. Silence. Both women turned. At the same time. Slow. Synchronized. Deadly. Not that serious. Bambi repeated, her voice dangerously low. Britney didn't even speak. She just stared at him like she didn't recognize him anymore. You know what? Bambi said suddenly, straightening up, her entire demeanor shifting into something colder, more final. You right. Scrappy blinked, confused. What? You right, she repeated. It's not that serious. And for a split second, he looked relieved. That was his last mistake. Because Bambi stepped closer. Real close. And her next words ended everything. Because I'm done. The words hit harder than any scream. Any insult. Any exposure. Done. Final. No room for negotiation. No, you not. Scrappy started quickly, panic flooding back in. Bam, don't do that, but she stepped back. Out of reach. You lost me the moment you thought I wouldn't find out, she said calmly. You buried yourself with every message after that. Britney wiped her tears, her breathing uneven, but her expression now, settled. Cold. Controlled. I'm done too, she said quietly. Scrappy turned toward her instantly. Brit, no, she cut him off, shaking her head. Don't say my name like that. Not after this. And just like that. He had no one. The room felt empty even though all three of them were still standing there. Because the connection. The trust. The illusion. Gone. Completely gone. But Bambi wasn't finished. Not yet. Because she lifted her phone one last time. Not to show them anything. But to show the world. You know what's crazy, she said, her voice echoing with a new kind of power now. This ain't even the half of it. Scrappy's eyes widened. What you mean? But it was already too late. Because somewhere. Somehow. Clips had already started leaking. Short snippets. Blurry at first. Then clearer. Faster. Louder. Social media was already on fire. Fans dissecting every second. Every word. Every expression. Choosing sides. Dragging names. Creating hashtags. #Scrappy exposed, #Bambi receipts, #Britney betrayed, and the reactions. Immediate. Explosive. Cast members started chiming in. Subtle tweets. Shady comments. Deleted. Posts that only made things worse. Everyone had something to say. Everyone had an opinion. And the story. It was no longer contained in that room. It had escaped. Gone viral. And it wasn't slowing down. It was spreading. Fast. And as Scrappy stood there, looking between both women, realizing everything he built was collapsing in real time. Bambi delivered the final blow. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just cold truth. You played yourself. And then she walked out. Britney followed. Not together. But united in one thing, leaving him behind. Alone. Exposed. And completely destroyed. Because in the end, it wasn't just the texts. It wasn't just the video. It was the lies. The layers. The disrespect. And now the whole world was watching. Judging. Waiting for the next leak. The next reaction. The next explosion. And trust. This story. It's far from over. Because what's coming next might be even worse. And if you think what you just heard was insane, you have no idea what's still coming. Because behind the scenes, things are getting even messier. We're talking about more leaked footage, unseen messages, and insiders hinting that this entire situation is about to explode again in ways nobody is prepared for. The story didn't end when Bambi walked out that door. That was just the beginning of a much darker, much deeper fallout that's already unfolding online. So if you're sitting there thinking you've seen it all, trust me, you haven't. New receipts are dropping. More names are being pulled into this chaos. And the next reveal. It might completely flip everything you believe about this situation. Now here's the part you don't want to mess up. If you don't hit that like button right now, you might miss the next update when it drops, and by the time you catch up, the internet will already be 3 steps ahead. And you already know how fast these stories move. Drop your opinion in the comments. Whose side are you on? Was Bambi right to expose everything? Did Britney get played? Or was she part of the game the whole time? And Scrappy, is this the final fall, or does he have one more twist left? Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because this story is evolving in real time, and the next chapter. It's going to be louder, messier, and even more unbelievable than anything you just heard. Stay locked in,